Like that.
Live.
Great.
Yeah, I'm coming in.
Perfect.
Boom, boom, boom.
Here we go. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Great to see you all. Morning.
Morning.
Happy Thursday. Thanks for coming. So I believe, right? We're good. Got everybody. Okay, so we have 26 people on today. So we were going to hold questions to the end, but there's always the chat box. If you want to reach out to us, we're going to be monitoring that throughout the presentation. And this is going to be recorded and put on the Southern Ocean Chamber YouTube channel as well. So we have all the information that you could possibly want. We're going to start off by just welcoming everybody in. We have a great presentation from the Ocean County Culture and Heritage. They have special initiative funding available. So you're going to learn a little bit about that, plus some of the other things that they're working on. I just want to do some quick updates for the Chamber of Commerce. Good morning, I'm Lori Pepinella. I'm the CEO. And Kate is our Business Outreach Coordinator. She's helping monitor today. So just for those interested, Monday, February 28th, we have a joint webinar with Cape May County and Greater Atlantic City Chambers about the new flood insurance program. There's a lot of changes. So we have the legislative aid from Senator Menendez's office to walk us through that. That's going to be Monday at 4. So if you're interested in that, you can go to our website. There's a link there, or you can contact our office.
Yeah, I'm doing a Zoom thing.
We also have Commerce and Cocktails, March 23rd at the mainland. So that is going to be our March meeting, but instead of it being in the morning, we're doing a happy hour because we need that in our lives. And then we also have the Wedding Roadshow and Party Planning Tour, April 24th. If you know someone that is planning a milestone event or getting married or just want to tour some of the great venues and businesses on Long Beach Island, you can register for free online again at visitlbiregion.com. We have our land and sea passports that have been printed. They're here. So if you need them for your customers, for your members, or for friends and family visiting, you could stop by our office and pick them up. And of course, Chowderfest info and sponsorship. Everything's online at chowderfest.com if you want a heads up on all that. So now that that's all out of the way, I'm going to introduce Catherine. Unless you want to start with Tim, I don't know. Anybody have?
Yeah, I'll open up the PowerPoint and then we'll start with Tim and Samantha for some basic commission info.
Perfect.
Okay. We'll have so much prologue, we won't have any program, but okay. Go ahead.
Not you.
Okay, welcome. And so this is, we're talking specifically about this special funding initiative. Catherine's going to give a very detailed explanation about that and how it distinguishes from our normal program. I just want to go over a couple of things. The salute this year, again, will be virtual. The Lifetime Achievement in the Arts is Mary May from Basket Maker from, I guess, Fiber Arts, I don't know, from Lacey Township. And Eleanor Ditton from Lacey Township is the Lifetime Achievement in History. And Bahia Abdullah will be given the John Bartlett Award. She lives in Barnegat. She's been a long time civil rights activist, very active with Girl Scouts. She'll pick Lori when she worked there. That was good, right? And then Risa Sweet from Lakewood is going to be receiving an award for diversity. And then the Ocean County Tourism Council is giving an award, which maybe Lori can explain a little bit later, but in general, instead of giving it to one particular person during COVID, they're giving it to all of the tourism related people. I just also wanted to mention the 250th of the American Revolution is coming up, We'd like to work with all of you on that and in some way or another. And if you don't qualify for the regular grant accounts, the grant programs we do, or the special program, I guess that would mostly be the Long Beach Island and the Tuckerton Seaport. We do have additional funds this year that we can do projects with you where either we pay for something in particular, or if you're doing like LBI, we're doing a Teach the Teachers program. And we are also conducting a series. Some of you have already been part of this. Some of you are on the docket. Some of you are on the list that you don't know about yet. Brian Crockett, who we've worked with in the past, is conducting a series of 45 in-depth interviews with organizations nonprofit organizations in Ocean County, those who always get grants from us, those who sometimes get grants from us, and those who never get grants from us. And that really is the impetus of this new program that Catherine's going to go over with you. But I just want to emphasize this because it's a pilot program. We cannot guarantee it'll be here in, this is for 2022. We cannot guarantee it'll be here in 2023. We hope so. Lori tells me she thinks that the money will still be there. So I guess that's my part. Samantha, do you want to talk about Out and About a little bit?
Sure. So our Out and About comes out 3 times a year. It's a magazine, so we send it both electronically and physical copies. In the publication, we have different stories throughout Ocean County, and if you'd like to have your group featured, please contact our office and we'll do a nice article with photos and all that good stuff. But most importantly is the events section. Now, if you haven't done this already, it's a free sign up. You can sign up either on the Ocean County Tourism website or on our website as well, which I believe, Kate, you're going to put up our link to our website. It's a one-time sign up, and then for the rest of the time, you can just keep adding your events throughout the year. Like I said, there's 3 editions: the spring, the fall, and the winter. And our spring deadline to make sure that you have your programs on the event listing will be March 7th. So just make sure that you're signed up and keep adding your events, and we'll pull the events and put them in the electronic Out and About and our physical Out and About.
And you automatically get on the Ocean County Tourism website. So it's in the past you had to do both. Now it's just a single entry point. So.
Right.
Okay, so I'll get talking about the money. So first, just briefly, we, for those that don't know, we already have 2 regular grant programs in place that we do every year for art and history, funded by the New Jersey State Council on the Arts and the New Jersey Historical Commission. You can apply for general operating support, special projects, or summer concert series. Like Tim said, we got an unprecedented amount of funding this year because of the hotel motel tax that the governor signed. And so we're not sure how long this is going to last. So we're trying to make the most of it while we can. And one of the ways we're doing that is with this special funding initiative. So this year we awarded $150,000 in arts grants and $70,000 in history. On top of that, we're offering this initiative, which will be a total of $20,000 for arts groups and $10,000 for history. This is to help newer emerging groups or groups that just need a small amount of funding. We made the process for this much more simplified than the regular grant program, but everything that we included in it is intended to help you become acquainted with the grant program if you choose to become a part of it in the future. So I'm going to go over everything in detail. This is a long list of goals. I'm not going to read out every one. The most important thing here is that we created this special funding initiative so that the work that your organization is putting in to the application and reporting process is equivalent to what you're getting back in return in funding. So for the special funding initiative, it's very simple, the process. So you're getting a limited amount of funding. For the regular grant program, it's a little bit more involved, but you're getting potentially much more money than you would be getting from this program. We also wanted to remove barriers that smaller groups and groups that aren't familiar with grants, barriers that you might see with the regular grant program that you're not familiar with. And hopefully this can help you get acquainted with that, know what things to prioritize, and start making things like ADA plans, long range plans, etc. So I'm going to go through everything in detail. You'll see that these slides are set up as a chart, kind of comparing the new initiative to our grant programs. That way you can decide what's best for your organization. So first, the amount of funding that's available. As I said, 150,000 for arts and 75,000 for history were given in our regular grant program this year. That's about twice as much as we were able to give before because of this increased funding from the state. And then, like I said, a total of 20,000 for arts and a total of 10,000 for history are now available for this special funding initiative. Now, if you're applying for an arts project for the special funding initiative, you can either get $1,000, $2,000, or if you're applying for a summer concert series, you get a max of $1,000. You're not going to get anything higher or lower than what you apply for. And you're either going to get all of it or none of it. Whereas for the regular grant program, we don't have maxes for general operating support, but we do have a max for the concert series in the regular grant program, and that's $2,500. These are the only restrictions on funding for the special funding initiative, but this next slide will show you we have a little bit more restriction categories for the regular grant program. So on the left here, it shows you that for the regular grant program, if you are an organization that is not primarily art-based and you're applying for an arts grant, the highest amount of funding you can get is $7,500. Now, if you're not a primarily history-oriented organization and you're applying for a history grant, the most you can get is $5,000. The next set of categories for the regular grant program is if you're a limited capacity arts organization, the most you can get is $7,500. Limited capacity history organization, your cap is $2,500. And then down here, we have how many people received applications from the regular grant program. There was 19 grants given for art applicants and 12 for history. So with the new funding initiative, we're hoping to double the amount that we give out funds to and open it up to a lot more groups, hopefully 20 or 30 groups. Okay, who can apply? So the types of organizations that can apply, you have to be a 501c3, municipality or higher education. Current grantees. If you're currently getting a grant from us on the art or history side, you can apply to the special funding initiative. However, we are prioritizing new groups. So if you are a current grantee, you cannot apply until June 1st. The other restriction to that is if you're a current grantee, the project that you apply for under the special funding initiative cannot be what you're receiving funds for with your regular grant. So you can't use this grant to increase what you were already evaluated on and given funds for in the regular program. So another thing for the special funding initiative, we eliminated the requirement that you would have to be serving Ocean County residents for a minimum of 2 years. There is no minimum requirement for that anymore for the special funding initiative. That opens it up to new groups that have just been established. We are keeping the requirement that your organization has to be based in Ocean County, and the program that you're applying for also has to be taking place in Ocean County. Now, also before you apply, you are going to want to go to the Ocean County vendor website and register as a vendor. That's the only way you can get your checks. So we'll see later. I'll have a sample application form, and we ask for your Ocean County vendor number on there. So that's just one of the requirements to apply, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to get your money. Okay, now the timeline. So one of the advantages to this new program is we've significantly cut down the timeline for processing the application and your payment. So typically with the grant program, because it's so involved with having to have it evaluated, it has to be, after it's evaluated, the funding amounts are decided based on your score. Then you have to be approved by the Ocean County Cultural and Heritage Commission board members. After they approve it, the Board of Commissioners for the whole of Ocean County then have to approve giving you those funds. So because of the length of those processes, it takes about 6 months from the required notice of intent to you getting your grant agreement that tells you how much you got, etc. After that, the Board of Commissioners have to go through another process of approving the resolution, and then the state has to okay everything. And after all that happens, it's about another 4 months before you get your first check for the regular grant program. So with the special funding initiative, since it runs a little bit differently, the time to process the application is going to be cut down to about 30 days. It's a very simple application. We'll go over it later. And then the time to the first payment is about 60 days after you give us a final report that we accept as complete. There is no notice of intent requirement, it's just the application. There's no deadline for the application. It's rolling throughout the year. You could apply right now. And then as far as reapplying, if you submit an application to us for the special funding initiative and we find that it's incomplete or inadequate in some way, and we reject it, when we send it back to you, we'll give you feedback and you have the opportunity to resubmit it, which you do not have for the regular grant program. We have hard deadlines, no extensions. If you submit it and it's rejected, then it's rejected for the year. The other thing is you can apply for a history special funding initiative, and you can apply for an art project as well. Okay. Now this is all about the application. It looks very complicated. We're just going to talk about the special funding initiative part of this. The only thing you really need to know about these grant columns is that there is a minimum amount of pages required for all of the grants, and that's 13 pages. And the reason I'm not going to go over the rest of the information on the left is because a lot of these requirements differ depending on which type of application you're submitting, if it's for a project, general operating support, etc. So if you're having questions about that, you can always contact the office and we'll talk about that specifically. But just with special funding initiative, we've cut down even that minimum requirement so that the application for the special funding initiative is a maximum of 4 pages. You will submit a 1-page application form, which is just basic information about your organization, contact info, how much you're requesting, simple things like that. Then you'll give us a 1-page narrative. It's 1 page max, so we don't want anything more than that. There are no budget forms. You just explain your budget in the narrative, and you'll tell us in the application form how much you're applying for. And then you'll do a 2-page ADA survey, because that is a priority for us. For anybody that we give money to, we want to make sure that it's a priority for them as well, that whatever project they're doing is inclusive. So those are the 4 pages. Then a couple of things you have to attach is just a copy of your 990 form, prove that you're 501c3. And when your application is accepted for funding, you have to sign your purchase order, and within that it has the statement of requirements. So it's just a signature. There's no additional information you have to provide for that. Okay, so this explains how that application you're submitting is evaluated. Like I said, the reason that the process for the regular grant application is so lengthy, part of the reason is because of the evaluation process. So for the regular grant, you have 4 peer reviewers that are reviewing your application. They're scoring it 0 to 150. And then on top of that, you have at least 4 additional reviewers looking at your ADA plan, your ADA survey, and your grievance procedures, and they scored that out of 20. So your total score then reflects how much money you'll get. But with the special funding initiative, we have just 1 peer reviewer outside of the office, and they will review both your application and the ADA survey, and they'll just make sure that it meets a minimum professional standard and compliance. And they also provide feedback for you as well. So you're still getting advice on how to improve and so forth. Okay, so reporting. This is extremely simplified as well. We just have a 1-page final report, 1-page max. That includes everything that we need to know, basically. And then you just have to attach any kind of canceled checks or invoices that prove that you spent the money on what you said you would spend it on. That's the same requirement that we have for the regular grant program, and that's required of us from the state. The other attachments you would send in with that 1-page final report would be any publicity you might have done for the project, because again, the state requires us to ask you to use the proper logos and acknowledgement of funding statement to show that the program you're putting on was funded by us through the state. Now, your final report is due 30 days after you've completed spending your funds, but no later than January 10th. And now your payment. So whereas with the regular grant program, you would receive 2 payments, 75% at around May and then 25% after the final report, which usually comes about February or March of the following year. With the special funding initiative, you get one check. It's 100% of the funds, and you'll get it after we accept the final report. There is no match requirement for the special funding initiative. This year and last year, the match was also waived for the regular grant program because of the pandemic, but that's another thing that we are not sure how long it'll last. But the special funding initiative will not have a match for as long as we have it. And then this just repeats again that we do need the proof of expenses. Okay, and these are the sample application and final report form to give you an idea. The link on the bottom, we have a page on our website for the special funding initiative. And all these documents are on there. The guidelines are on there. So those go over everything I just went over and some more information for you. But you'll find these pages on the website, and you can either print them and mail them into us. You can hand deliver them, or you can email them to Samantha. She is our grants manager. I'll have that information in a following slide. But this just shows you how much we cut down on the application and reporting process. This is on the far left is the one-page application form. Pretty simple. This page in the middle is the narrative. Again, it's one page max. The accessibility survey is just 2 pages. That's also on the website. And then on the right is the final report, which again, 1 page max. This is very important. Read the guidelines before you submit. They are on the website, as I said, on the link that was on the last slide. They should give you all the information you need to see if you're eligible, to see how to submit, everything. And also on the guidelines is our contact information if you have additional questions. And as I said, here's a link to find all those things. We have our address if you want it to mail or hand deliver your application and report. This is Samantha's email address. It's another option for submitting the documents. And then our phone number at the bottom for any additional questions. And that's all that I have. If there's any questions, I know there's some stuff in the chat.
So maybe I read most of the chat questions. So someone said, does this have anything to do with social service groups? It has to do it in 2. If you come up with an art related activity or history related activity, or the kind of workshops we do and the support we do, the capacity building support is really applies across the board to any nonprofit. So you can participate in that. I think the other thing to say is that the anticipation, since it's a rolling application starting today, yesterday, whatever, is that there probably isn't going to be any money available as of June 1st. That's kind of the way it's conceived, right? But if there is money available by June 1st and you're an existing group and you want to apply, we want that option also. But this is really, so we have 3 groups of people in Ocean County. We have the kind of groups, nonprofits who always apply to us every year, right? They're the old reliables, and their amount has more or less doubled this year or more because of the increased funding from the state. And then we have the groups who have never applied. And then the third group is people who kind of apply one year and don't apply another year, sometimes because they missed the deadline, sometimes because the person who writes the grant is no longer available for one reason or another. And so this is an opportunity for groups that miss the deadline. It's an opportunity for groups who've never tried. But the one thing that I want to emphasize is you must already have your vendor ID before you apply. Because what happens with the main grants is we have to submit them all at the same time. So if one group out of the 30 groups has not gotten their vendor number, everybody else in the county is held up until, it seems like game theory or something, right? So our new thing is that you're going to have the vendor number before you apply, because it's just not fair to the people who are also applying. As far as the $1,000 and the $2,000 tier, that's just your choice. And so have all those people online who suffer through our annual grant process, and I feel for you, I used to do that myself. You say, well, like, why can't we make this easy for all your grants? I see nodding heads, right? People are saying, why can't you do that? It's because we're reviewed by the state, and we're actually now submitting to the state, and we have to compete with the other 20 counties. And all of the requirements that we have for you, the ADA, the capacity building, the long range plan, the disaster plan, that's all stuff that the state requires us to ask you to do. This initiative is above and beyond that program, because we're not, frankly, attracting that many new groups, because it's a lot of work. We understand it's a lot of work. I think once you've done it, it becomes less work the following year. But that's why it's called a special initiative. The word grant doesn't even show up in the name, right? Because this is really for somebody who only wants $1,000. So I don't think there's anybody on here who got a grant from our regular program for 2022 who would give that grant up for $1,000, right? I mean, you're not going to do that. So but we're going to experiment, and if we get more money next year, and if there's a demand for this, we could conceivably give more money next year in this, not more than $1,000, but we could maybe make the pot a little bit bigger if we needed to next year. Anyway, so having said all that, does anybody, let me see, is there anybody else in the chat room that asked questions that we didn't answer? Mini grant. So you can only get one mini grant in each category. And the rule is that if you've gotten, so let's say you got an art grant and you wanted to put in for a history grant, you still can't do that until June, right? If you've gotten a grant for 2022. So this is my biggest piece of advice here is, and I'm sure there's some aphorism or platitude that fits here, but I think you should act as if there isn't going to be a mini grant program for 2000, and we will know by the first week in July whether we're going to be able to have a program next year, because that's when we get the notice from the state of how much money we'll have for next year. But I mean, please still do the professional development, get those points, all the other good stuff that you do, right? And oh, this is very nice here. Somebody wishing me a happy birthday. Thank you very much. That was very kind. And thank you. And we don't know how much money is going to be left on June 1st. We just have to wait and see. If people don't take advantage of this and there's money available, then we'll get it back into our regular organization. So anybody have a question they'd like to ask? Well, that must mean we can thoroughly confuse you, or we thoroughly explained it.
I
Yes.
just want to clarify. So
Yeah.
if your organization has 3 initiatives, like, you know, arts for kids, cat art, and film art, you can only apply for 1 mini grant, even though those are 3 separate initiatives.
From one organization, that is correct, yes.
Okay.
But if you had 3 organizations and one was for cats and one was for dogs and whatever, that would be.
Can you partner with another organization?
Yes, you can, yes. But you just have to remember that it has to meet these minimum standards, and while they're far less stringent than the ones that you and the others who get these, I think, very nice sized grants, they can't, I'm trying to think of the right word, they can't be like a shell organization, right? I mean, they can't
Right.
get I don't want to, I Love Lucy was what, the Friends of the Friendless, right? You can't like just find some group in Idaho and get them to be your but the idea is to make it easy, right? I mean, we were frankly, when we got done the whole process, our biggest question was, and our supervisor's biggest question was like, well, is this fair to these new groups? Because this is so easy compared to the regular grant process, but but you're getting $1,000 compared to 10,000 or 15,000. So
But
as Catherine
to-
said, we're trying to make it commensurate with how much, work is required. A lot of people got very frustrated because they would come to us and they'd ask for $20,000 and we give them 500, right, in the beginning, and then they'd never apply to us again. Some of them would never even fill out their paperwork again. They never even apply for the second check, and that wasn't productive for anybody. And so we're hoping this way people get used to us, find out that we're not. We had a group that with this Brian Crockett thing we went around to, and Samantha, how many pages did they think our grant process was? It was like 3 inches thick. They thought.
Yeah, it was a couple hundred pages. I think they
Yeah,
just
yeah.
put all applications together and said, this
Right.
is what you expect of us. And
Yeah, every year they got the blank paperwork, they just put it in this pile, and the pile got to be like really, really tall, right? So, and some groups, I see Mary Grove is on here, some groups may feel, hey, if we go through the regular process, maybe we get 2,500, 3,000. This is a pretty much of a certain thing. We get 1,000, maybe, or 2,000. You can also apply for the 2,000. It's up to you, unless you're doing a concert series, and then it's limited to 1,000. But that may just be all right for your group, and you may not want to do all those other, the more complicated grant process. So. We know it's not necessarily pleasant, and every time we try to simplify it, it gets a little more complicated. We had a couple pages, so that's not good. So anyway, I do want to say that really the groups, we just went through this process called Building Bridges over the last 2 years. It was an ADA, DEIA related program, and we had 10 groups and 5 young professionals who helped. Was tremendous. It was great. And we're not going to be doing that for this year. We're doing this other program instead. But really, I mean, we're lucky to be serving such a wonderful nonprofit community. I mean, there are other communities, let's say in Middlesex County, they have 75 nonprofits because they represent all these ethnic groups that you can't even imagine a group that doesn't exist in Middlesex County. But we don't quite have that, but we have some very dedicated groups and groups that have been hanging on with some really tough, Lighthouse Film Festival, I'll just point them out in particular, how they, last year we gave that award to Surflight and to Lighthouse Film Festival to survive during COVID, I think is remarkable. I frankly don't know how they did it. And all of you have been working under these tough circumstances. So anyway, by the way, I do not go on these visits. I know I talk too long and whatever. So you just get Brian and you get Catherine or Samantha, and Carly has gone on several of them. And hopefully you get to know the people, they can tell your story at your home and what it is that you think. And it's one of the, people have complained about this process all along, but in particular, we've already gone to 18 groups, and this was the complaint we had over and over again. So this is trying to keep the state happy, but also kind of get people into the process. So.
Okay, great. So any other questions in the chat that need to be addressed? But I do believe that Catherine provided contact information, and we certainly know where to find him if we need him.
So somebody had the question about what general operating support. So every professional that has ever tried to help us with the grant process wants us only to fund special projects. What they want us to do is have you say, there's the 250th anniversary of the United States. Let's do something about that. But I've been in nonprofits, and you need to pay the lights and you need to pay the insurance. So general operating support is just everything. That's everything that you have. And you can do your special initiatives, but I resist those people who want us to only do the special projects, because
Thank you, Tim.
that's not where you need the money. You need the money
That's right.
to pay the insurance and pay the bills. And if you
Yeah,
raise
how
your
about
own
that?
money, you do those other initiatives. But anyway, so we kind of bucked the trend on that as a funder.
Well, it was thank you very much. Much gratitude to you. And thanks for answering our question. Thanks.
Okay. And Samantha and Carly are much more succinct than I am. For those of you who don't know the difference, if it takes me 100 words, it takes them 10, and they'd be glad to help you. I'll try to help you, but that's a long time. So
Okay, so Kate, we're gonna have this presentation up on the Chamber YouTube channel.
Correct.
So if
That's-
anybody wants to review it, if you need any assistance, you can certainly contact our office or go directly to Catherine, and Tim and Samantha and Carly. So if that's it, we're gonna say have a great day and thanks for joining us this morning. And good luck. I hope everybody applies. They find a project that's going to fit your needs, and try to get that money. So have a great rest of your day.